I led 7 Muslims to destroy a Christian funeral, shouting insults as families wept over their dead. But what Jesus did next made denying his existence utterly impossible. My name is Ibrahim and I am 29 years old. The sun was bright over Birmingham, Alabama on June 14th, 2019 when I did the cruelest thing I have ever done in my life. I stood at the gates of Elmwood Cemetery with 6 other young Muslim men holding signs that said, "Christianity is false and Jesus was just a prophet." We had driven 12 hours from Michigan to disrupt a funeral and I felt good about it. I felt righteous. I felt like I was defending Allah. My hands gripped the sign tighter as the first car pulled into the cemetery. An old woman stepped out holding flowers. Her eyes were red from crying. She looked at our signs and her face went white. She stumbled and her daughter had to catch her before she fell. That woman was Martha Mitchell and we had come to destroy her husband's funeral. I was born in Dearborn, Michigan, into a family that loved Islam more than anything. My father Khalid owned 3 restaurants. My mother Layla helped new Muslim families learn to live in America. Every morning at 4 o'clock, I heard my father praying. Every evening, I heard my mother teaching Quran. Prayer 5 times a day. Fasting during Ramadan. Memorizing Arabic verses. This was my whole life from the time I could walk. But I was different from my parents. They came to America looking for peace. I grew up feeling like America hated us. I was 11 years old when the planes hit the towers on September 11th. The next day at school, kids called me terrorist. Teachers watched me like I might explode. Someone spray painted "Go home" on my father's restaurant 3 times. I watched my mother cry and I got angry, very angry. By the time I was 18, I hated Christians, not just disliked them, hated them. In my mind, every Muslim problem in the world came from Christian countries. The wars, the hate, the discrimination. I blamed it all on Christians and I wanted to fight back. At the University of Michigan, I met 6 other Muslim men who felt the same rage I felt. Jamal, Yusuf, Hamza, Karim, Bilal, Mustafa. We called ourselves the Islamic Defense Collective. We went to Christian events with megaphones and signs. We shouted over their prayers. We interrupted their services. We filmed everything and posted it online. Thousands of people followed us and cheered us on. After college, my father gave me money to start what I called an Islamic advocacy organization. Really, it was just a way to travel around confronting Christians. For 4 years, we went to conferences and churches and street corners. Anywhere Christians gathered, we showed up to oppose them. Each time we got more aggressive. Each time we felt more righteous. Then in June 2019, Jamal found something online that made us all excited. Grace Community Church in Birmingham was holding a funeral for their pastor Thomas Mitchell. But it was not just a funeral. They were doing it outside in a public cemetery. They were going to have worship music and testimonies and what they called an invitation to know Jesus. We saw this as Christians using a dead body to trick people into their false religion. We convinced ourselves we had to stop it. We had to protect people from being manipulated by Christians at their most vulnerable moment. We drove through the night talking about how righteous our mission was, how Allah would be pleased with us for defending truth, how we were warriors fighting spiritual deception. When we arrived at the cemetery that morning, I felt powerful. I felt certain. I felt like I was doing exactly what God wanted me to do. I had no idea that the real God was watching me. I had no idea He was about to shatter everything I believed about who He was. What event would push my hatred so far that even I would question if I had gone too far? June 14th, 2019 at 2 o'clock in the afternoon, the funeral procession started moving from the parking lot toward the grave. Old people, young families, little kids holding their parents' hands, all of them crying, all of them sad, and we attacked them. Yusuf turned on our speaker system and blasted the Islamic call to prayer. The sound crashed over the funeral like a wave destroying everything peaceful. The Christian hymn they were singing disappeared under our noise. Hamza and Karim held signs right in front of people walking. The mourners had to step around us like we were rocks in their path. I grabbed the megaphone. My voice echoed across the whole cemetery when I shouted that Christianity was lies and Islam was truth. People turned to stare at us. Some looked confused, some looked angry, most just looked hurt. But I kept shouting. I felt like a soldier in a holy war. The funeral director came over. He was a middle-aged man in a black suit. "Please," he said, "please show some respect. These people just lost someone they loved." And I told him this was a public cemetery and we had the right to be there. Technically, I was correct. Morally, I was a monster. The family gathered around the casket. Pastor Mitchell's widow, Martha, stood at the front. She was tiny and old and shaking. When Mustafa shouted, "Your Jesus is dead, but Allah is alive," she flinched like she had been hit. She almost fell and her children had to hold her up. I saw her face go pale. I saw tears run down her cheeks. For 1 second, I felt bad. Then I pushed the feeling away and kept shouting. The pastor conducting the service tried to read from the Bible. We turned our speakers louder. Family members stood up to share memories. We interrupted with Quran verses. They tried to sing Amazing Grace. We played competing music that drowned them out. Every sacred moment when we destroyed it on purpose. Cemetery security made us move away from the grave, but we stayed at the entrance. Every person leaving that funeral had to walk past us, had to see our signs, had to hear us shouting. An old man stopped and asked me, "Why would you hurt us like this? What did we ever do to you?" I gave him talking points about Christian imperialism and Muslim suffering. I could not see that I was causing real pain to real people right in front of me. That night, we posted our video online. We called it Islamic Defense Collective Exposes Christian Manipulation at Funeral. We expected praise. Instead, people from every religion condemned us. Even Muslims said we had gone too far. My mother called crying. She said she was ashamed of me. She asked how I could be so heartless. Then I saw a comment from someone claiming to be Pastor Mitchell's granddaughter. She wrote that her grandfather had run a food bank that fed hundreds of Muslim refugees. He had donated money to help Muslim families. He had taught his church that Jesus' love knows no boundaries. And we had destroyed his funeral with hatred. She said she was praying Jesus would change our hearts. I tried to pray that night, but the words stuck in my throat. I faced Mecca and bowed, but felt nothing, just emptiness, just silence. For the first time in my life, prayer felt hollow. The next morning, our video was on national news. Muslim group disrupts Christian funeral. Everyone everywhere was talking about how cruel we were. My father called and asked, "Is this who you want to be? Is this the man I raised?" I did not have an answer. Then the local news interviewed Martha Mitchell. They asked what she thought about us disrupting her husband's funeral. Her answer cut through me like a knife. She said, "Those young men are lost and hurting and they don't even know it. Jesus loved them enough to die for them. I forgive them completely, just as Jesus forgave those who crucified him." I could not understand it. How could she forgive people who had destroyed the most sacred moment of her life? In Islam, I knew about justice, about righteous anger, about defending the faith, but I had never seen this kind of forgiveness that seemed impossible for any normal person to give. I could not sleep. Every time I closed my eyes, I saw Martha's face. When she stumbled, I heard that old man asking what he had done to deserve our hatred. I felt shame deeper than any shame I had known before. What would Jesus do next that would make denying his reality utterly impossible? June 17th, 2019. 3 days after the funeral. I could not sleep, could not eat, could not think about anything except what we had done. I went for a run that morning trying to clear my head. The park near my apartment was quiet. Birds singing, sun shining through trees, everything peaceful except my mind. I saw an old man sitting on a bench feeding pigeons. Something about him made me stop running. He looked up and smiled at me. Not a normal smile, a smile that seemed to know everything about me. "Beautiful morning for a run, Ibrahim," he said. I froze. I had never seen this man before. I was not wearing anything with my name on it. "How do you know my name?" I asked. "I know everything about you," he said. "I know what you did on June 14th. I know about Martha Mitchell and the pain you caused her, and I want you to know that I still love you." My heart started pounding. This was impossible. "Who are you?" I asked. He stood up from the bench. When he did, I saw his hands. There were scars on his wrists, old wounds that looked like something had pierced right through. He showed me his palms, the same scars. "I am Jesus," he said, "and I have been waiting for you to be ready to meet me." I stumbled backward. This could not be real. Jesus was dead. He was just a prophet. He was not God. "You are not real," I said. "This is a stress or guilt or lack of sleep, Ibrahim. I am more real than anything you have ever known. You have spent years hating my followers because you thought I was your enemy. But I have never been your enemy. I died for you. I rose for you. And I have been pursuing you your entire life, waiting for you to stop running. I do not believe in you." I shouted. Other people in the park turned to look. "You are not God. Allah is God." "Then explain how I know that you cried yourself to sleep last night. Explain how I know that you have been questioning everything since Martha forgave you. Explain how I know that deep in your heart you are desperate for love that does not depend on your performance or anger or religious devotion." Tears ran down my face. Everything he said was true, things I had not admitted even to myself. "Why would you appear to me?" I asked. "I hate Christians. I destroyed a Christian funeral. I am your enemy." "You were never my enemy," Jesus said. His voice was full of love that broke through every wall I had built. "You were lost and confused and hurting. But I am the good shepherd who leaves 99 sheep to find the one that is lost. That is you, Ibrahim. You are the one I came to find." Then he was gone. Not walking away, not hiding. He just disappeared. I stood alone in the park with tears on my face and my whole world falling apart. I tried to convince myself I had imagined it. Stress, mental breakdown, anything but Jesus actually appearing to me. But I could not make myself believe it was not real. June 19th, 2 days later. I was working at my father's restaurant taking orders. I looked up and saw him again. Jesus sitting at a corner table wearing different clothes but the same person from the park. I walked toward him like I was in a dream. "You came to find me," I whispered. "No, Ibrahim, I never left. I have been with you every moment since we met in the park. You just could not see me until now." I looked around. No one else seemed to see him. "Am I going crazy?" I asked. "You are going sane," Jesus said. "For the first time in years, you are seeing reality clearly instead of through hatred and fear." "Why won't you leave me alone?" I said, even though part of me did not want him to leave. "Because I love you too much to let you continue destroying yourself and others in the name of defending a religion that cannot save you. Ibrahim, you have been trying to earn God's approval through anger and activism, but you cannot earn what I am offering to give you freely." "What are you offering?" I asked, even though I was scared of the answer. "Forgiveness, freedom, a relationship with God based on grace instead of performance. Everything you have been searching for in all the wrong places." Then he was gone again. My father was calling my name, asking why I had left my section during dinner rush. Jesus kept appearing at the grocery store, at the gas station, in my apartment when I woke at night. Each time he spoke truth that cut through my defenses. Each time he showed me love that made no sense based on what I deserved. June 23rd, 9 days after the funeral. Jesus appeared one final time. I was alone in my dark apartment, completely broken. I cannot keep living like this. I told him, either you are real and everything I believe is wrong, or I am losing my mind. I need to know the truth. You already know the truth. Ibrahim Jesus said, sitting beside me, you have known it since you saw Martha forgive you. You have known it since you felt my love in the park. The question is not whether I am real. The question is whether you are willing to surrender your hatred and pride to follow me. Could I really abandon everything I had believed and become the very thing I had spent years hating? June 24th, 2019. I sat surrounded by Islamic books and prayer rugs and the life I had built around hating Christians. Jesus had shattered my certainty, but accepting him meant destroying my identity, my family, my purpose for living. I called Jamal and met him at a coffee shop. I think we were wrong about the funeral, I said. I think we crossed a line we should not have crossed. His face got hard. Don't tell me you are going soft now. We did what was necessary. If you feel guilty, that is just your faith being tested. You need to strengthen your commitment to Islam, not question our mission. But what if our mission is wrong? I asked. What if we have been serving our own hatred instead of serving God? This is exactly what the Christians want. Jamal said, angry, they want us to doubt ourselves. Ibrahim, you are the strongest of all of us. Don't let their psychological warfare destroy you. I realized I could not explain what was happening to anyone who had not experienced it themselves. After Jamal left, I drove to the cemetery where we had disrupted the funeral. I found Pastor Mitchell's grave covered with fresh flowers. I knelt beside it, crying. I'm sorry, I whispered. I'm sorry I destroyed your funeral. I'm sorry I hurt your wife and family. I am sorry I hated you without knowing anything about you. Then I heard footsteps. I turned and saw Martha Mitchell carrying fresh flowers. My heart stopped. I scrambled to my feet, ready to run. I could not face her. You are one of the young men from the funeral, she said. I am so sorry, I managed to say. There is no excuse. I was wrong. I was cruel. I deserve whatever you want to say to me. Martha set down her flowers and walked closer. I waited for anger. Instead, she took my hands in hers. Jesus already told me you would be here, she said. What I asked, confused. 3 days ago, during my morning prayer, Jesus spoke to me. He told me that one of the young men who disrupted Thomas's funeral was being drawn to faith in him. He told me that I would meet you at this cemetery. He told me to share my husband's story with you. I was stunned. Jesus had appeared to her too. Martha led me to a bench. Thomas grew up hating Christians, she began. His father was an angry, abusive man who used Christianity as a weapon. Thomas watched his father quote Bible verses before beating his mother. He swore he would never have anything to do with Christianity. But he became a pastor, I said. When Thomas was 17, he was in a serious car accident, trapped in his car, convinced he was going to die. In that moment, he cried out to God, not knowing who God really was, just knowing he needed help. Jesus appeared to Thomas in that car. Martha continued, not symbolically. Jesus was physically present, just as real as I am now. Jesus told Thomas that he loved him, that he had always loved him, and that he was giving Thomas a second chance to discover who God really was. Jesus appeared to him physically, I asked, my voice shaking. Yes. And I am guessing Jesus has been appearing to you too, hasn't he? I broke down. Martha held me while I cried. I don't understand why he would appear to me, I said. I hate Christians. I disrupted your husband's funeral. Why would Jesus reveal himself to someone like me? Because that is who Jesus is, Martha said. He does not appear to people who have it all figured out. He appears to people who are lost and broken and desperate. And he is appearing to you because he loves you too much to let you continue destroying yourself with hatred. We sat together for over an hour. Martha told me about her husband's 40 years serving Jesus by loving people, including Muslims, about the food bank that fed hundreds of Muslim families, about thousands of dollars donated to help Muslim refugees, about organizing Christian churches to oppose politicians trying to ban Muslim refugees from Alabama. The man whose funeral I destroyed had spent his life demonstrating Christ's portrays love to Muslims. How can you forgive me? I asked Martha. How can you sit here holding me when I destroyed one of the most sacred moments of your life? Because Jesus forgave me for far worse, Martha said simply. Before I knew Jesus, I was selfish and proud and cruel in my own ways. Jesus forgave me completely, and he commands me to extend that same forgiveness to others. As the sun set, Martha asked me directly, Ibrahim, do you believe Jesus has been appearing to you? Yes, I admitted. I have tried to deny it, but I know it is real. Then what are you going to do about it? Martha asked. Jesus does not force anyone to follow him. But ultimately, you have to choose whether you will surrender to his love or continue running from it. Could I really pray to Jesus, the very figure I had mocked and hated, and mean it from my heart? June 24th, 2019 at sunset. Martha had just asked me the most important question of my life. What was I going to do about Jesus pursuing me? I sat on that cemetery bench and realized I could not avoid the decision any longer. I want to believe, I told Martha, but I don't know how. If I accept Jesus, I lose my family, my friends, my purpose, my identity. I lose everything that makes me who I am. No, Martha said, you lose everything that has been destroying who you were created to be. God made you for love, Ibrahim, not hatred. Following Jesus is not losing yourself. It is finally becoming your true self. Martha drove me to Grace Community Church, where her husband had been pastor for 40 years. She led me inside to the sanctuary. Now, this is where Thomas preached every Sunday, she said. This is where he baptized new believers. And this is where I want to invite you to meet Jesus as someone you consciously choose to surrender your life to. I stood looking at the cross at the front. For the first time, instead of seeing it as a symbol of my enemy, I saw it as the place where Jesus had died for me. For Ibrahim, for the angry Muslim who had burned with hatred, Jesus had loved me enough to die for me even while I was his enemy. Martha prayed, thanking Jesus for pursuing me, for revealing himself to me, for breaking through my hatred with love. She prayed for courage for me to surrender completely. She prayed for my family and friends. She prayed that my transformation would become a testimony to Jesus' power to change anyone. Then Martha stepped back, giving me space. But I walked to the front and knelt before the cross. Every prayer I had ever prayed in my life had been in Arabic, following prescribed formulas directed toward Mecca. This was completely different. Jesus, I began, my voice shaking. I don't know how to do this properly. But you have been appearing to me, pursuing me, showing me that you are real, even though I have hated you. I am sorry for disrupting Pastor Mitchell's funeral. I am sorry for all the hatred I have carried. I am sorry for the cruelty I have shown. Tears streamed down my face. I believe you are real. I believe you died for me. I believe you rose from the dead. I don't understand it all, and I don't know what it will cost me, but I want to surrender my life to you completely. The presence of Jesus filled that sanctuary so strong I could feel his love like physical warmth. Years of hatred and anger and bitterness were literally being removed from my soul and replaced with peace and love and joy I had never experienced through any amount of Islamic devotion. When I stood up, I was completely different. The old Ibrahim who disrupted funerals and hated Christians was dead. In his place stood a new creation in Christ, forgiven and transformed by grace. Welcome to the family of God, Ibrahim. Martha said, embracing me, you are now my brother in Christ. On July 3rd, I called a meeting with the other 6 members of our group. I need to tell you something that will probably end our friendship, I began. Jesus Christ has been appearing to me physically since the funeral. He has proven to me that he is real, that he is God. I have surrendered my life to Jesus and I am no longer a Muslim. Jamal accused me of betraying Islam. Yusuf said I had destroyed everything we built. Hamza called me a traitor who would burn in hell. I understand your anger, I said, feeling Jesus' peace sustaining me. But I am telling you the truth. Jesus is real. He is pursuing you just as he pursued me. The hatred we have been carrying is destroying us, and Jesus is offering us freedom. You are dead to us, Jamal said. They left and I sat alone. But instead of feeling devastated, I felt free. My father called and disowned me. My mother refused to speak to me. Extended family blocked my number. The mosque condemned my apostasy. But Grace Community Church embraced me completely. Martha became like a spiritual grandmother. The congregation welcomed me despite what I had done to their pastor's funeral. On August 15, 2019, exactly 2 months after my conversion, I was baptized. As I rose from the water, I saw Jesus standing at the back of the sanctuary, smiling. He mouthed the words, "Well done, my son," then disappeared. I lost everything I thought mattered: my family, my friends, my community, my purpose, my identity. But I gained everything that actually matters: forgiveness, peace, joy, purpose, and eternal life with Jesus Christ. In the years since, I have dedicated my life to sharing the gospel, especially with Muslims searching for truth. Yusuf converted after watching my transformation. We now run a ministry together, helping former Muslims follow Jesus. Martha Mitchell passed away in 2023 at age 86. Before she died, she told me that leading me to Jesus was one of the greatest joys of her life. I spoke at her funeral, telling hundreds of people how this widow's grace had changed my life forever. That Jesus changed everything about me. He took a man burning with hatred and filled him with love. He took a man destroying funerals and made him a minister of reconciliation. The same Jesus who appeared to me in a park in Dearborn can appear to you wherever you are right now. He is not limited by your religion, your past, your hatred, or your sins. He is pursuing you with relentless love, waiting for you to stop running and surrender to grace. Will you let Jesus change everything about your life, just as he changed everything about mine?